Good afternoon, everybody. It's Thursday afternoon, the 30th of April. So I suppose we have to begin today with Captain Tom Moore, or should I say now, Honorary Colonel Tom Moore, and the remarkable joy that he's brought to the nation on his 100th birthday. Indeed, our cook Christine came in this morning and said she'd been in tears watching the television as all the birthday cards, I think it's over 125,000 birthday cards, £30 million that he's raised. And I was stopping and thinking, this is an extraordinary phenomenon. What is going on here? And what really strikes me is that he's a unifying factor. He's bringing us together in the midst of all the anxiety and the problems that face us with this coronavirus. And he's helping us to have an optimistic view, indeed fulfilling what St. Paul says, I want you to be happy. And so it's just captured people's imagination. And as I was thinking about what I shared with you last weekend about the story of the two disciples on the road to Emmaus, and inviting you to try and think about Emmaus moments in your own life, as I reflected with one in my life. Again, the crucial thing for me, the breakthrough point for me, was that I suddenly realised that that is exactly what the gospel was doing. It was calling us to be at one, to be unified. The whole message of the gospel is Jesus' prayer to the Father, Father, may they all be one, as you are in me and I am in you, so that the world may believe it was you who sent me. And Tom has done a marvellous job in our country, and indeed internationally, because he's getting messages from all over the world. So we thank God for Tom, and we wish him a very happy birthday, and may he go on for a lot longer. I was reflecting about the whole thing again this week, partly because there are times when, in spite of our efforts to be upbeat, I think the problems do tend, if we're not careful, to weigh us down. So this is why Tom is so good. But I had a couple of examples this week which I'll share with you where I felt somewhat inadequate in trying to respond. I was doing my 10,000 steps around the property here, just as Father Andrew does. And by the way, I should acknowledge Andrew as the technician for these afternoon sessions, whereas Brother James comes in at the weekend to film the Mass. We're using Andrew's iPad, and he's more of an expert than I am getting this loaded up, so hopefully this will work. But anyway, Andrew and I will often be seen charging around the property here. We have different routes, but we get our 10,000 steps in every day, and I'm still delighted with the fact that I'm chalking them up in spite of everything. But while I was walking a couple of afternoons ago, two gentlemen entered the property, and they looked a little bit distressed, and they obviously wanted to talk, so I stopped and we kept our distances. And one of them, unfortunately, was a homeless man, and he'd come with one of our parishioners from St. Mary's, and they started talking to me and saying, was there anything I could think of that would help him? And I was desperately racking my brains as to where I could suggest that he goes. I mean, my understanding has been that hotels are being used now to try and make sure that people are not homeless, but he assured me there were still loads of people sleeping in the shop doorways in town. And I suggested that maybe the Sisters in Seal Street, but he said he'd tried there and they didn't have room. And I then suggested the Salvation Army. Now, I don't think Strawberry Fields is open at the moment, but perhaps if you got in touch with them, they have a wonderful record for helping people who are homeless and in distress. And I've subsequently written to my friends in the Salvation Army. We meet down in Wilton, usually on a Wednesday morning for prayer with Kip, the vicar there, and other churches and the Salvation Army, and it's a very special time. We're not able to do that at the moment. Just saying, did he get in touch? Was there anything you would have been able to do to help? I don't know. But as they went away, I thought, gosh, people come to monasteries just as they did in the Middle Ages, looking for solace and help, and I felt somewhat inadequate with that. And there have been other instances. Somebody phoned me up the other day concerned about her charity. Many of you will know Elizabeth Parsons. She doesn't know I'm going to mention her, but I hope she won't mind. I'll give her a ring after this and just check that she's happy with this going out. But she was concerned. She's very much involved with Life. She works for Life. All the charities are struggling at the moment getting funds. She was saying, could I think of anything which would help? And I'm not particularly appealing for her because there are so many charities. I think all of you are involved in so many different ways with whatever charity in our parish and beyond. And it's a great struggle at the moment, as it is for us in the church. As you know, I keep sort of downplaying the fact that I'm not wanting to chase you about money, but just to remind you that the finance teams in both parishes have put something up on the websites to help you if you are looking for ways of continuing to contribute. But I'm saying, look, if you're struggling at all, then please make sure you look after the family and yourselves first. But with all these things, as I say, I feel a certain inadequacy because I can't solve all the problems. And it's at this point, I think, that we have to accept that we are caught up in something much bigger. And the one thing we are doing, and I genuinely do believe, as I know you do, in the power of prayer. And we are taking on board all the intentions that you're sending us. It's quite difficult to handle them all. I do try to mention all the names that come in. I think, and again, I haven't suggested this to Andrew there, he's sitting just behind the filming here at the moment, but I thought one thing we could do is perhaps put all the names in a basket the way we do for the novena as all these intentions come in. And each day we'll have that here when we're praying, morning and evening prayer, when we're celebrating our Eucharist together. And of course, for those who died, while I can't come and do the actual cremations and the burials, I am making sure that I celebrate Mass for the repose of the soul of the person who's died on the day of their burial. And I know that that has been a solace to the families as well. So we will continue to pray. And when I wrote to the Salvation Army today, I said, well, at least, because they were saying, are there any intentions that you want us to pray for with you? And I wrote and I said, well, there are loads of intentions. Why don't we just pray for one another and all the intentions that are coming before us and bring them to the Lord and pray that the Lord will indeed continue to unite us. And that brings me to the last point I want to make today. I realised it was 6 weeks today since I scurried round Bishop Eton and Much Wilton schools and suggested that we have that 7 o'clock time in the evening for prayer. And I know it's taken off, and I'm so encouraged by the fact that so many of you are doing that. I didn't manage to get to Carlton House because they'd already closed. But today I've arranged with the head teachers, but they will mail you all out again just to remind everybody, to keep everybody encouraged. There's an awful danger as this thing drags on and it looks as if it's going to be a long-term effort. We're going to have to stay with this. That we may just begin to lag a bit. And I think what I'd like to do is just keep encouraging everybody. Because that sense that we're all praying at 7 o'clock in the evening, that so many of you are finding time to join in the weekend Mass, the time that's suitable for you, whether it's Saturday night, Sunday, or even at another time. So thank you for all that encouragement. Let's remember that the key to what our Lord wants of all of us and the whole of his creation is that we be in harmony with God, with each other, and with his creation. May we continue to strive for that. And thank you for all the encouragement you're giving us. God bless.